Well, greetings again, everyone. It's me, Nick Mike Like, and the dynamic Steve Fraser.
Well, hello, everyone.
And I guess, I don't know, I guess they'd be anticipating this. We are starting a Dark Knight Trilogy commentary series.
Yeah, we gotta get that taste out of our mouth from Mr. Freeze.
We'll talk a little things here and there about where things came from, where they're going to. But guys, obviously we're doing Batman Begins, so whatever copy you have, get your time step over to 0, turn on your subtitles to follow along with the film, and we'll get it synced up with a countdown. So in 3, 2, 1, play.
This was quite the phenomenon. I mean,
Yes.
it pales in comparison to what happened, 3 years later. But with The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I remember, working in the cinema, and the poster came out, and it was like that sepia tone one with all the bats kind of making the shape of Batman.
I have a lot of really good posters on this one.
Much like this.
Similar.
And so it was like, we were ready, because Batman is my favorite, as we all have discussed. And man, those Schumachers kind of ruined the franchise, right?
Right. Well, I mean, after that, again, just laid waste to things. Like, well, that ran it right into the wall. They were entertaining different projects over the years. Like, Schumacher did pitch another film, but he was like...
I thought there was another one that was, on the books.
Well, I was just reading about it. Like, it's weird, okay? You still have Schumacher. So he wants to bring back the same cast. He wants to make it a darker, more serious film.
Did this kid not know he was standing on a well?
Apparently not.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. But Schumacher's like, I want to veer it back towards what Burton was doing, make it a more serious film, and do stuff that still had some of the same elements they have here, where they've got Scarecrow much more as a main villain than Harley Quinn comes in as like the Joker's daughter to avenge his death and everything.
Sure.
Nicholson would come back between fear hallucinations and stuff like that. So reading it sounds good. I don't know how it would have been in execution, but obviously it's like, we're not feeling that anymore after the last one. This just didn't PR well. I don't... If they recast a lot of the roles, I could see it better. But just having like Clooney back and O'Donnell and Silverstone, I don't feel those tones would translate. Clooney could probably do it. I just don't know if he'd be motivated to do it.
Right, because he had that ER money at that point.
Yeah, and he's going off to do Out of Sight and Three Kings and stuff else. So
right, and he was branching out to become a movie star.
Yeah, right. There's a whole thing with Darren Aronofsky, with like some people were kind of like excited for it because of what his track record was, but it seemed like it was kind of like veering way off the path of like lore mythology of Batman. So Nolan had just done Insomnia, so he was kind of in good graces with Warner Brothers, and it's like he kind of went to them when they were kind of like seeking a new pitch.
I think this is probably the movie that propelled him into superstardom. Christian Bale.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he was in American Psycho, right?
American Psycho got attention. It wasn't like big attention, but like critical,
it made him a name.
Notable type of stuff.
Right.
Fucking machinist, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a hell of a film. I mean, just what Bale went through physically to transform himself into that film. Then he's talking with Nolan on this whole thing, and he weighs like fucking $1.25 or something.
Right.
And he's like, I can't walk you into the Warner Brothers offices looking like that. So he started chowing down and started doing the protein and everything else he had to do to sculpt the physique and everything just to get him out looking good enough for a screen test and all that.
Like the old wrestler diet of raw eggs and tuna fish.
Something, yeah. I don't know what
just
to do.
Boiled chicken breasts.
Oh. I've heard Triple H eats like a dozen chicken breasts a day. It's insane.
Oh, boy. And this guy,
yeah,
Mr. Liam Neeson,
who...
Now, this is before he took on the role of, like, Mr. Action movie, B-action movie.
Taken was around 08-09.
And Taken, which is a great movie, has subsequently been followed by, like, 15 sequels, and I mean,
a lot of lower grade stuff.
This guy has been. I mean, he was in a movie where it was like a snowplow chase.
Yeah,
right?
something. I don't know. I just
call Mr. Plow. That's my name. That name again is Mr. Plow. So. And he's leading a double life here, right? Mm-hmm. He's. How do you feel about the little twisties at the bottom of the goatee? Like the straight goatee is fine, but the little twisties on the end that really honks me out. I never even
really noticed that.
Oh my god, that looks terrible.
We're watching the 4K version.
Yeah, looks awesome.
Yeah.
By the way, we kind of skipped over the bats in the well.
Sure.
And that would absolutely be terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
In his defense, the kid's defense.
Yeah.
And they don't really say here, they kind of leave it up to you to put two and two together, that he is like wandering and discovering himself and just, I don't know, kind of becoming a
world-weary wanderer.
And you get the call from this mysterious gentleman.
Yeah. Who knows exactly who you are, where clearly you're trying to, like, escape from whoever you were. He doesn't want anyone to know he's Bruce Wayne. He's just some guy out in the world.
Right.
In the middle of freaking nowhere here, or in the mountains.
But I guess he's kind of put up a reputation of being a tough guy and a, whatever.
Just a criminal element to a degree, yeah. I mean, they never even, like, established, like, he went under some kind of pseudonym or something else like that, so just...
Right, at this point, it's just
suppositions, like, he's in completely unfamiliar territory for anyone who has any knowledge about Batman Bruce Wayne. It's like, what would he be doing in the middle of nowhere looking like this in a
at this
point camp,
At this point, there is no Batman.
Right. Well, I'm just saying, fans going into the film, knowing it's a Batman film, just like, this is... new interesting surroundings for a story involving Batman, because we never got anything that went outside Gotham City.
Well, right. You always had the childhood story of, I feel like in even, animated series, the 89, whatever, you get the childhood trauma, and you get the bats, and you get the overcoming the fear.
Yeah.
But then there's that gap, right? That
where he... disappears into the world and comes back with the cape and cowl.
Right.
Yeah. That was something Goyer was kind of saying. It's like, at least at the time in comics, they've retconned stuff a million times since then, but at the time they're making this, like, no one's really filled in, like, specific events in the gap of time where he learned to become who he was.
Now, was this portion of the story based on anything? Do you know?
I don't think they did any, like, direct adaptations, but they took certain things from, like, Batman Year One, showing the beginning of Batman and Gordon and stuff like that, and they took other little, just pieces of mythology, because, like, you got the entire thing with Ra's al Ghul here, who was introduced in the 70s, so about 40 years after the start of the comics.
Sure.
But and it became such a...
I never read the comics.
Mm-hmm. But all the episodes from the animated series involving Ra's al Ghul or Ra's al Ghul, depending on which way you want to roll with it, were very, almost verbatim from the comics. And they're fantastic.
I love the animated series.
Yeah.
I think they put out a 4K set recently.
I don't...
No?
No.
All right, then maybe it was international. I don't know. I have the Blu-ray set.
Yeah, I grabbed that last year.
It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
The mysterious blue flower.
Mm-hmm.
Now that guy looks like a Ra's al Ghul, right?
Yeah, and that's the idea. And even the comics, the character did have decoys. He did have a bodyguard, stuff like that. He would kind of test people in a certain way. Don't reveal yourself straight out. Kind of test the waters and see what Bruce Wayne is all about, what Batman's all about. Does he live up to the reputation, the expectations?
What a position to be in, too, if you're Bruce Wayne walking into this, and you know that there's like 15 guys standing around waiting to kick your ass. As soon as you defeat one, there's 15 more. Are bats weird? A weird thing to be afraid of?
I wouldn't think so.
Like, think about, an alternate universe where he's afraid of spiders and becomes Spider-Man.
Right, sure.
Like,
Arachnid Man.
Or whatever. He's afraid of clowns and becomes a clown. Or, I don't know, like...
lizards or something.
Yeah,
or
like it's...
a snake.
And there he is, the star of Jaws the Revenge.
Okay.
Just a small fracture, he says. Why are you giving your kid a pearl necklace? Oh, you're not. Okay, good. I've never really been one to be subjected to nightmares. I mean, obviously, we've all had nightmares. But there are people out there in the world, and, perhaps you can comment if you're one of them, where... like the last thing you watch on TV could possibly enter your dream, or you're very, tuned into, I don't know, like things in your immediate surroundings affect what you dream about in a good or bad way. And I've also never been one. I'm not like that. I don't really dream about work. I don't dream about like
weird random stuff.
Yeah, it's always a weird situation, and. I've never been one to have recurring nightmares. So, everybody has a bad dream that's, terrifying. But I've never had the same one more than once, which is weird, I guess. I don't know. So, I feel for the people, like the wee lad Wayne, who, constantly dreams about
trauma.
The trauma of... I mean, I'd be more traumatized by breaking my arm, I think, than I would.
Yeah.
Then again, if it was, just a well full of bugs, I probably wouldn't care for that. This was an interesting trigger, right? Like, having Bat character in the...
Yeah, kind of a demonic dance or whatnot up there.
Remember when people used to dress up to go to the show?
Yeah.
Or the play, or the, I guess in this case, opera?
Yeah.
That's a thing of the past. I mean, I still do it.
Yeah.
Not tuxedo, but...
Nice vest. You like
that?
Yeah,
I like the vest and the tie option. This, this whole concept of mugging in the street is so New York, like, stereotypical. I've never, like, I still don't know if it's a real thing. I mean, granted, I'm not trying to, like, say that people are faking it or whatever, but It's just weird to me, this whole concept of, like, mugging on the street corner.
Yeah.
Like,
we hear about a lot of different types of violent crimes around Chicago. You don't tend to just get mugged, you just get shot for no reason.
Right. Well, you know, it's gang related. Like, I feel like that happens a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably most of the... Like, for those of you... I'm actually genuinely interested in this. So especially since a lot of this movie was... This one and the next one were filmed in Chicago. And we're coming to you from suburban Chicago. Mm-hmm. The perception of Chicago from those of you that live outside of Chicago, mm-hmm. is it just like this crime-ridden, like, cesspool? Mm-hmm. Because it's
what news permeates outside of the sphere we're in?
Right. Like, I'm genuinely curious for those of you that do not live in the greater Chicagoland area to comment your public perception of our city. Mm-hmm. And I feel like crime and guns are like tantamount in this conversation. Yeah. And I don't think they should be, because it's like the best city in the whole world.
I think this stuff was shot over in England, the Wayne Manor stuff.
Right.
You ain't finding that place in fucking America anywhere, man. Not that architecture.
No, this looks so English. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, isn't it weird? Like, I have a question. Was that an Illinois license plate?
Yeah. It looks like they probably just manufactured a Gotham one based on the Illinois one.
Yeah, it looked like in Illinois.
So the background
I have
cars
a feeling
and scenes and whatnot would not be anachronistic.
Right. That's amazing. Mm-hmm. I do find it weird. Have they ever, like, Wayne Manor here, the house?
Sure.
Is it supposed to be in Gotham City?
Well, in Dark Knight, he says it's in the Palisades. Whatever the hell that means. I guess that just means the outskirts,
like
or
up the suburbs
like
or something.
Something.
I wonder if they did some kind of like digital correction on him, or if that's just maybe the way he looked.
What, the kid?
No, the
Caine?
Caine, yeah. Because obviously this is 15 years before. Like, do they?
Yeah, I don't
was that
know.
His natural look, and then they doctored him to make him look older?
Don't know. Because the one thing with Nolan, he doesn't do digital color grading. He does. He still does everything photochemically. So the 4Ks are taken from interpositives, not the original camera negatives. So I think on the 4Ks they maybe did a little extra grain management to kind of like smudge, kind of
soften it
here and there, tried to reduce it a little bit. And some places it made, like that scene with Caine there, it looked a little on the splotchy side. So it's here or there.
This is like some Bloodsport shit here, right?
Yeah. I was watching the behind the scenes. They were practicing all this stuff on an ice rink, so they could get the
footing,
the feel of it all. Yeah, that's smart.
I always thought it was interesting that basically he's training to be a ninja.
Yeah,
and
with the edict of finding justice in some type of way, that Al Ghul is kind of like, here's a path you can follow. I know I get what you're looking for. Here's a solution towards the ends you want. But then
ultimately they have nefarious.
They have a different mentality towards it.
I just don't. When I think of Batman, mm-hmm. I don't think of him as a ninja.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
All right.
Like when you say name a ninja.
Okay.
You don't think Batman. Well, maybe you do.
Maybe I do. Yeah.
I don't. Like, that's just a weird, like, compartmentalizing. It
kind of depends on which version of Batman you're looking at.
Yeah, I suppose.
Like, look at Adam West. No.
Adam West is not a ninja.
No. But it depends on which way you're going with it. I mean, in the comics, there's like, he trains with people all around the world. learning stuff with like escape artist stuff, magician stuff, and he goes off here and there with in Japan and other places, just like almost anonymously going around the world, but still grabbing all these different skills, learning from the masters. So they just kind of like streamlined the idea here to kind of like fit it within the themes of the story, going with League of Shadows and all this type of stuff. So it works for a streamlined story to tell in a single film.
Now, when Christopher Nolan, at this point, is this the first... I'm trying to remember the timeline. I feel like this is the first movie that he's done that was an adaptation of something. I feel like all of his previous films were original screenplays. I
think Insomnia was previously a foreign language film.
Oh, okay.
I think so. I'm pretty certain about that. I think it was like Iceland or like Scandinavian or something like that.
All right.
I can find a piece of it.
I have a very distinct memory of going to see Memento in the cinema, and it was one of those like seminal moments in my film fandom where you leave a movie theater and you're friggin' speechless for a great length of time.
I think it was Swedish. It was started Stellan Skarsgård.
Oh, really?
So he did adapt it from a foreign language film. So that's
okay.
Technically fits.
All right. It was just, when Batman being my favorite superhero, and the new one's coming out, and it's directed by one of my favorite directors at the time, the guy that did Memento.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit. I do feel like I enjoy this movie more every time I watch it.
I mean, I went to see it several times in the theater. I actually dug up one of my little tickets.
Get out of here. Yeah. This is an actual ticket. I'm holding an actual ticket stub. Right here. Batman Begins.
It's not the first time I saw it. It was like an afternoon showing I went to.
Sure.
The theater doesn't exist anymore. They tore it down last year.
$6.50 you paid for this ticket.
Yeah.
For a matinee. Let's just say. Matinee, $6.50. It's a pretty good price.
Yeah. I mean, I saw it 2 or 3 times.
I only saw it the once. And I very much enjoyed it. I do think that it for me, it was missing a little bit of the spectacle of the villains.
Sure.
I love the origin story. I do feel like the origin story could have been a little shorter, and I just didn't think that the Scarecrow was as dynamic. Like, if you're going to present something to a mainstream audience who probably doesn't know the Scarecrow.
Probably not.
Probably not. Isn't she adorable?
Yeah.
I feel like you need to go a little bit bigger to make a
larger impression.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously they bring him back in the next 2 films more almost cameo-esque type of thing. So it's like never really hit a full potential of what they could do with it.
Right.
And yeah, because again, the Schumacher one was going to deal with Scarecrow. He was actually looking at Nick Cage to play the Scarecrow.
Well, that would have been perfect.
Yeah, I would have dug it.
She is a 10, and at this point, she was married to Tom Cruise. Is that correct?
I don't know if she was married, but she was definitely involved with him. And there was, when it came to the second film, there was some kind of something with her being involved with him and the Scientology stuff, and it kept her away from doing Dark Knight, so they recast the role.
Ooh, Scientology.
Yeah, let's not get into it, but I'm just saying there was complication, then she was no longer with Cruz anymore, and then whatever case.
Got it.
Or, did they have a kid together? I think they did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Suri.
Yeah. Yeah, that's weird.
Suri.
Yes. Hey.
Hey, Suri. I don't want to say the other word so that everyone listening to this has their phone light up in their pocket.
Sure.
That's our old friend. Is that Richard Brake? He is a star. I just saw him at a convention a couple weeks ago. He is a stalwart in the Rob Zombie troupe, I guess, is the right word.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
He also played, for all of you Game of Thrones fans, he was the White King or whatever, the Ice King guy. Yeah. Can't I think of the guy's name? Anyway. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine being in his position right here?
Mm-hmm.
Like
5 seconds away from doing the deed yourself.
And he was like just getting yourself in the mental state to go there.
Yeah.
And Falcone, the mob boss, he was a character on the animated series, I believe.
Oh.
I want to say that they... it's been a hot minute since I've watched them all.
There was a regular one. I don't think
maybe it wasn't him.
It was... Son of a bitch.
All right, well... See, we don't really prep for these things, guys. He does a lot more prepping than I do. I just think of things off the top of my head and make it conversational. So... Which is why sometimes I get people's names wrong, I get references wrong, whatever.
Rupert Thorne was the mob boss.
Rupert Thorne, sure. But basically the same character, I think. Right?
Similar enough, yeah. Yeah, they used him a lot. He was involved with the Two-Face storyline.
Now, how is it that she was able to drop him off at the door of the mob boss?
Well, she's saying right now is like everyone knows who's doing what it is, but it's like they're paid off with so many people up and down the line. The entire series is so corrupt. There's no one virtuous and powerful enough to stand up to them.
It sounds an awful lot like our great city of Chicago. You know, in a lot of ways, you know, even though Gotham City is based on New York, it actually
has
like
more of the politics of Chicago,
right?
To a degree,
yeah. Which, you know, contrary to popular belief, the nickname Windy City actually has nothing to do with the weather, and has everything to do with the fact that there were all the politicians like blowing hot air, and you know, lying. So, yeah, look that up. It's Windy City actually is not about the weather. Although it is actually very windy in Chicago because of the lakefront.
Sure.
God, I want to be at this restaurant right now.
Mm-hmm. On the comment, because I think they're pretty good, just showing like passage of time and age and everything. Even though they're not like doing anything particular with Bale's look, I think just like the dress of like the Ivy League outfit and the kind of more moppy hair, it works well enough. And the way he carries himself too. Yeah,
he's frumpy.
Yeah. I mean, you can still say he's got the muscular face and everything, but they're not showing off anything else to give it away just yet. They didn't say like,
Yeah, he's
film
very...
him being schlubby and then take 6 months off and have him go back to fucking hard training and shoot the rest of the film. So, like it's like Tom Hanks in Castaway or some other thing.
Dude, I still will never get over the fact that they spoiled that in the trailer.
Zemeckis does that, man. I don't know what his deal is.
God damn it.
He just like...
I will never forget sitting in that theater when watching the trailer for Castaway, and I'm not a trailer guy, but I was forced to watch it.
Yeah.
And he fucking ruins the movie in the trailer. God damn it.
What the hell, man?
Sorry. It's a decent movie. It's fun.
Right.
But it's a lot better if you don't know what's going to happen.
Just go and hit play.
My problem with trailers...
There we go. We got like an hour, 40 minutes left.
So... my problem with trailers is I'm a very perceptive person, which you may have figured out. By the way, I think this is my 125th commentary with y'all, so that's exciting. And I don't know, I notice things, right? I'm an observer, and if there is a scene in the trailer, then that I remember, it's good enough to put in the trailer. It's good enough for me to remember it, right?
Yeah, I gotcha.
And if I'm watching the movie and I know that scene hasn't happened yet, that's almost like a spoiler.
Right.
Like, I know this scene is still coming. Like, oh, that scene had this character in it, which means I know he's not going to die right now in the movie.
Yeah. That's why I try to avoid watching a trailer more than once. If I have any choice, I'll try to, like, I'm not going to watch this 5, 6, 7 times or something, because then I'll just, like, I'm waiting for that moment to come up in the film, and it's kind of deteriorates the experience.
Now, am I correct that since we were talking, that Falcone basically gave him a pep talk and said murder isn't the right way?
Well, he was just saying, like, you could pull this. I could pull this gun on you and kill you right now. There's not a single person in this room that could do anything because I've got all the power in this entire city, and no one can stop me. It's the power.
So
again,
power.
It hits off the power of fear, is what he states. So reinforcing the theme. Because everyone's too afraid to do anything because he's got all these resources at his disposal to do whatever he wants. If you want to turn him in and be a witness against him, well, you're going to die. He's going to take you out. Stealing his own shit.
Right.
That's a nice quirk. I like the structure of the film with the flash back and forth storytelling.
Sure. Well, Nolan is very much
a non-linear enough guy.
Yeah. But not in a quirky way like Tarantino.
Right. He's trying to find a way to interestingly tell the story. You know, does it again in the Prestige. There's a few moments in this Prestige where it gets a little muddy.
God, I love the Prestige.
It's great.
God, I love it.
I always felt like the first few times I watched, like, there's a few points where I'm not sure exactly which timeline I'm in. It's been a long time. I have to revisit.
Yeah, I need to revisit it too.
But when I saw that film in 06, I was like, this is the best film of the whole goddamn year.
What? I don't remember what year it was.
06, yeah.
06, so that would have been
2006, year after this, yeah.
The Departed, Little Miss Sunshine.
And the next month I saw Casino Royale.
Casino Royale.
Good year.
Great year.
Good year.
Look at those ninjas. When I think of ninjas, I think of, like, the Turtles. And, you know, Master Splinter and his gang.
Commentary with me and Trent in the archives now.
There you go. Yeah, I wasn't involved in that one.
No.
So he graduated is the point of this?
Well, it's again, you have to conquer your fear. You have to see beyond fear. So he's taken a piece of the flower which induces the fear toxin stuff.
Got it.
It's like he's trying. Ra's al Ghul is trying to teach him fear's a powerful weapon.
And this is
he has to master it. He has to be able to see past his own fear, be able to conquer it.
Is this unrelated to the Scarecrow drug?
It's all tied in later on because we haven't gotten Scarecrow yet.
I know, but I'm saying
just a mirror.
Is this flower hallucinogenic related to that?
Yes.
Okay.
Because he's tied in with Ra's al Ghul and all the type of stuff. He's a supplier for him, and he's helping. Because
I was going to say, if not, that is much too strong of a coincidence for my liking.
Yeah, Scarecrow's tied in with Falcone, which is kind of like greasing the wheels for the stuff they're going to be doing in Gotham later on with the League of Shadows. But it's that conspiracy thing. Left hand doesn't know if the right hand's quite planning and doing, so it's like just facilitating.
You've got a sword, dude. Just start chopping them out of the sky. Although I guess he's got that hallucinogenic thing, so he's under the influence, as it were. You made me bleed my own blood. Now that's a clever trick.
Mm-hmm.
Well done, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what does Liam Neeson tell this guy? Like, okay, I want you to play along. Like, what is the conversation like?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Very elaborate.
It's a work.
Yes.
What a work.
Right. It's like Vince McMahon and The Undertaker.
Yeah, it's like the long con here, and
It was me, Bruce. I fooled everyone. Sought the velour robe. Mystery of darkness.
This is kind of a seminal moment here where he says, I'm not about to kill people.
Mm-hmm.
He has a great voice.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that...
Neeson is fabulous in this. I mean, fabulous doesn't even begin to say it.
I know that he gets a lot of credit for, voice acting, I guess.
Sure.
But I do think that in a character like this, just wouldn't be the same. Without a certain timbre,
in the
right?
Yeah, timbre in the voice, all that type of stuff.
That's also an interesting facial hair choice. Talking in the third person again. Like, do they put up this ruse with other people? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's uncertain.
Like, why is he special? It's just convenient for the sake of the movie.
Yeah.
But whatever. I know I'm nitpicking. I'm a son of a bitch sometimes.
I mean, you get it. It's like he wants to, again, testing Bruce. How far is he willing to go? If he gets past this point and he goes along with it, then he probably brings him into his confidence more. Tells him exactly what's happening.
Yeah, that might not be a smart move.
Yeah, I mean, they never specifically state the character's name, but Ken Watanabe is playing Ubu.
Ubu.
Yeah, who is always Ra's al Ghul's bodyguard.
Ken Watanabe.
He's
had some pretty big roles.
Done a lot. I mean,
I believe he's Oscar nominated, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so. He should be.
Was he in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, he was in something.
I know because you're aware they did a Japanese remake of Unforgiven, yes?
Oh, yeah.
He started in the Eastwood role in that, so they took that story and brought it over to, like, I don't know if it's feudal Japan, but at a certain point, like, pretty much like same time period, but over in Japan, and they remade the whole film.
Oh, it was The Last Samurai he was nominated for.
Oh, yeah.
With
good stuff. Overall, I mean, the guy's done wonderful work. He comes back in Inception for Nolan.
Inception's a weird movie. It's good, but it's almost too Nolan, you know?
It's almost a little too Nolan. Nolan's got a certain barrier. He never wants to go too fantastical with a concept. In Inception, you could do a whole wide range of wild things. So
right.
It's a good film. It just feels like it if you got, I don't know, prestige guy like a Denny Boyle or something like that, it would have a lot wider range of
look at this stunt.
Bizarre ideas to throw into it. I don't know. Look at that. That's on location.
No kidding.
Oh, yeah. Over the top.
Absolutely.
We're Stallone, man.
Like cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger and over the top. Crossover. The Sammy Hagar soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
That's what this film's missing. Oh, Sammy.
Well, Over the Top has the song over the closing credits is one of my absolute favorite soundtrack songs by the great Kenny Loggins. Meet Me Halfway. Look it up. Holy shit. I mean, granted, Footloose is the grand high poobah of all soundtrack songs.
Mr. Soundtrack.
But
Kenny Loggins.
Meet Me Halfway from Over the Top is unbelievable. I feel like this is much more natural Michael Caine at the time, but I could be wrong. It's simple how a little paint on the hair, just makes you look so much younger.
Yeah, I was going to say, they did some work on the flashback sequence, probably made his hair a little more blonde.
Well, it was dark.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, that's what I was saying about maybe a digital retouch on the wrinkles or something, but I could be wrong. And, like you said, he doesn't really do that kind of thing.
And he does digital, like, visual effects stuff, but probably didn't do anything like that for his complexion or anything. Caine's such a good cock. He just brings that little twinkle of humor ever so often. You need a little bit of that in this.
Yeah. And that's New York City, yeah?
Oh, I think they did a little composite of different things. This is definitely a digital composite thing. Speaking of Danny Boyle stuff, Cillian Murphy, hot off of 28 Days Later. Pretty incredible film, if I may say so myself. Saw that one. That one in the theater.
Everybody loves that movie. I think it's okay.
I can't watch it too often. I haven't watched it in like 10 years because it's really fucking bleak.
It's dark, yeah.
But it's pretty intense. So real curious about that Danny Boyle Bond film. We'll never get it.
Well, it's fine.
It's unfortunate.
There's so many things about directors that were attached to something for so long, and ended up not doing it.
Yeah.
In fact, I believe the next commentary that we're going to cover on this channel
Sure.
Is a Stephen King adaptation with that exact scenario.
Okay. Yeah, Murphy did audition for Batman on this whole thing. They were in the Val Kilmer suit.
Oh.
The screen tests.
Really?
They thought he was really good, but I guess they just like, not quite.
Well, Bale also has that specific timbre in his voice, where he is able to, I don't know, he's got a normal cadence, and then he's got that Batman
a little more raspy aspect, yeah. It was an interesting thing, because, I mean, I don't know if it was just Bale doing it, or there was more of like a committee type of thing in terms of like going off and doing the interviews for the film. It's like they weren't sure how audience was reactive. They had some Welshman talking in an accent saying I'm Batman now, so he literally went off and did the press for the whole thing, putting on a loose American accent.
That's weird. I mean, it's fine.
Yeah,
but
even on some of the promotional stuff they have on the disc for just the featurette stuff like that, he still puts it on that way.
I am always flabbergasted when I find out, the real voices of people that have only ever really played American roles.
Right. Hugh Laurie.
Sure.
I
mean, there's a lot of them.
Or there's a couple of American actors who like when you're doing British actors, it's like they're not British.
Isn't it crazy how it doesn't go the other way? Like you call BS on an American doing a British accent.
A lot of the Brits do. Is like,
but I tell you what, I mean, my favorite actress of all time, Kate Winslet,
sure,
has mastered American accents to the point where. Well, and then what's the gal from X-Files?
Oh, Cillian Anderson?
Yes. She actually can flip between the two.
Yeah, I think
she's American, I believe.
She's American. I think she's lived in UK on and off here and there.
Forever.
So, okay. So
and she can literally flip between the two seamlessly. She's, as we record this, 3 or 4 seasons deep into a show called Sex Education, which is a delightful show. And she plays, it's set in Britain, she plays the mom character, and she's very British in the show. And I was like, I thought she was American. And so I was like researching her. And, I forget this guy's name.
Tom Wilkinson?
Wilkinson, yes. I believe he's won an Oscar.
I think so, yeah.
I know he was nominated for the movie In the Bedroom with Sissy Spacek.
Yeah, he's been in, I think it was in Bruges with Colin Farrell, Brendan Gleeson. He was Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Great, yep.
He's been around a lot, man.
He won a BAFTA, a Golden Globe, an Emmy, and he's got nominations for Oscars, but no wins.
Okay. And Rutger Hauer here. And Nolan actually had one of the films he was kind of like pointing towards in terms of like creating an entire like immersive world for Gotham and whatnot was Blade Runner. And so he set up screenings for people to come and watch it just to have a sense of like comes more into the film later on, whether down in the Narrows and Arkham, stuff like that, but it was just kind of an idea he had to kind of like create an overall sense of the city.
This is a very James Bond kind of scenario right here.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what it must be like
Yeah, to find out your best childhood friend who's been absconded for years now just suddenly pops back up out of nowhere. Good suit on Hauer there, man. Definitely feels like big top boss executive.
Yeah, I have always liked a pinstripe.
Mm-hmm.
The first suit that I ever, good suit that I ever bought was a navy pinstripe.
Mm.
Speaking of folks with great voices.
Oh.
This is before he had his bad hand, right?
Bad hand?
Well, the fact that you are questioning it makes him an even better actor. Morgan Freeman, was in a car accident.
Okay.
Somewhere in this time frame.
Okay.
And it's kind of unclear what exactly happened.
Okay.
However, I think it's some kind of nerve issue.
Okay.
And he actually has no use of one of his hands.
And Arn Anderson?
Well, yeah,
I guess. Those lines.
Oh, yeah, and is when he's in public wears a glove on one hand 100% of the time and keeps it either behind his back in a pocket, whatever.
Intriguing.
And when he's in a movie, they shoot around it.
Okay.
So I don't know exactly what had happened.
I'm sure Eastwood knows the full story.
But
probably wasn't doing Million Dollar Baby around this time, wasn't it?
That was 2004, so that was right before this, yeah. And he did eventually win an Oscar, Morgan Freeman.
Thankfully, yes. He was up all the way back in 87, I think it was. Supporting actor on Street Smart with Chris Reeve.
Oh, okay.
Great role. Great role.
He was nominated in '89 for Driving Miss Daisy.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously nominated in '94 for Shawshank.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that Shawshank is probably his best,
legendary role.
Performance, maybe? I don't know. Maybe not. It's so iconic. It's the best movie ever made. I know I'm biased. Unless you count Lord of the Rings as a trilogy, in which case I'd make a case for that. But if you count it as one movie, then it might be the best movie ever made. It's a 12-hour movie, of which 1/3 won Best Picture, but I'm not mad.
I just got my 4K set.
I know you did. Sorry to disappoint, but we're probably not going to do commentaries on on Lord of the Rings.
You'd have to read them all, because I'm not reading them. Otherwise, we just talk about, look how well they're walking.
I mean, there's action.
Oh, yeah, and just like,
hey, look, that suit doesn't have nipples.
About as much the interesting things, yes, no nipples.
And he got that suit from Morgan Freeman, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Advanced infantry suit, Kevlar, body armor stuff going on.
Which is a prototype or an item that Wayne manufactures.
They had all these military contracts and certain things they didn't buy up because they're too expensive, or whatever the case was. It didn't quite work as well as it should have. It's definitely Chicago.
Well, I don't know.
A little bit. I'm a guy who was robbed of an Oscar for a long old time.
Oh, absolutely. Forever. And this guy, he's got 3 names. I can't remember him right at the moment.
Oh.
But he was on Sons of Anarchy for a long time.
He was,
And, he's a guy with 3 names. And
Christ, yeah.
he's in everything.
Oh, yeah. He was in John Carpenter's Vampires.
Yeah. Boone.
Mark Boone Jr.
Mark Boone Jr.
Yes.
Yeah. I knew I'd get there.
Slap to get there.
That's Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
That's 100%.
The river,
the Wrigley Building. Oh, my God. GN. NBC. Yep. That's like my favorite intersection in the world.
Oh, yeah. It's fabulous. Beautiful.
This is pre-Trump Tower.
Thankfully.
Which would have been in the right part of our screen on that view. Can we go back? Everybody hit pause. We're going to rewind it. Look at Chicago. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's my boy here.
Oldman.
Oldman.
What a run in the 90s, man.
Every movie he's done, he's had a different accent. It almost became kind of a joke that he's never done the same one twice.
Yeah, Leon, True Romance, Dracula.
Lee Harvey Oswald, for Christ's sake.
Oswald.
God damn, I love JFK. Did I tell you, Oliver Stone put out a documentary as kind of a follow-up to JFK?
I've seen it circling around.
Well, I bought it, and I bought the special package, so I have an 11 by 17 poster signed by Oliver Stone.
Yikes.
So, I love Ollie Stone. Ow. You can see the growing pains here, right? He hasn't quite figured it out.
Well, it's smart. I mean, this is Nolan's approach. Like, if a guy was really intent on becoming this, what's the path to getting there?
Sure. Is that Caine back there in the... There's that spice again.
There's that spice again, yes.
Bale looks like $1 million.
Oh, yeah. And like I said, Nolan told him to put on as much muscle as possible, that he kept packing on so much that he didn't fit in the bat suit anymore.
That's what Morgan Freeman looks like right now, with a glove on his hand.
Okay. Yeah, Bale just kept piling it on. It's like, to the point where it's like the suit's ripping. I got to drop more weight. I mean, we know now. I mean, Bale will just transform himself into anything, man.
Absolutely. I mean, he's won an Oscar.
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy.
Ooh.
Toys.
I mean, in a way, this is very James Bond-like, right?
To a degree.
Morgan Freeman playing Q.
Yeah.
In a way, Batman is kind of a secret spy.
Yeah.
In kind of an anthological series where there's a new crime every episode.
Yeah.
I mean, aside from the last Bond, the last 4 or whatever, they were all connected.
Yeah.
Which is going to be very interesting to see what happens when they reboot.
Yeah, I have no idea.
And now we've rebooted Batman, right? So, old sparkly vampire guy is now Batman, and
doing a hell of a job.
Yeah, I thought he was tremendous.
Oh yeah, fuck all.
And
talk about a guy who can act with the eyes. He knew exactly what he was doing.
Yes, the movie was a little long. The Batman, little long in the tooth, but I do think that however many they squeeze out of this run, I'm enjoying it from the beginning. In a way, I almost enjoyed that one more than I enjoyed this one.
Yeah.
As far as a beginning of the trilogy or beginning of the saga.
Yeah.
Well, that won't work.
Yeah. So I mean, the main thing I really liked about the Pattinson version is that they got very psychological, very deep into the psychosis, seeing it from the inside out and trying to figure out his pathology of how he functions and what's weighing on him and how it affects him. This Bruce is a lot more of a disciplined man. He's less driven by the psychology and more driven by just the edict.
Which logo do you prefer? The Nolan Dark Knight trilogy bat, or the, I guess, Tim Burton era bat logo? I feel like they both have merit.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm partial to the older, the oval.
A little bit.
The oval, I guess, with the logo inside. This one, looks like a Chinese star.
Yeah.
Which they just indicated. Ignorance is bliss is a good line. Whoa.
I really like what they do in this sequence. They really construct and edit it to make Batman feel like an entity.
I get that.
That he is something that kind of slips in and out of the shadows here and there.
And clearly has purpose.
Mm-hmm.
He's not just there to skulk around.
Right. There's a methodology.
Calling card.
Mm-hmm.
I do think it would be terrifying to have a real, if you were a criminal and a man in a costume, even doing anything in a man in a costume just drops from the air.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it be interesting to role reverse this, where Batman is actually the villain?
Okay.
It's like every horror movie has, a guy in a costume.
Sure.
So, in a way, it's refreshing that he's the good guy. But,
but you can see it from the criminal's perspective of the terror of the scene.
Right.
Something is out there in the shadows. It looks strange. It doesn't look like a man. And swooping in and out of different places, and then and this whole again, I like a lot how they shoot this. They got this. They're shooting it very well on like almost like a dolly track, moving around the scene, but they're cutting it back and forth around here. So it's very much
the quick editing. Yeah,
it feels intentive. It's not like random shaky cam stuff, and you're just splicing random footage because you just slopped it together. There's a very specific feel they wanted to get, like he's moving quickly and like a flash here and there. So it's like it's adding to the mythos. It's creating that theatrical and deception that Ra's al Ghul was talking about.
Right.
And that's close enough to your midpoint.
I was going to say, I'm Batman is... You saw me look down at the timestamp, didn't you?
I was thinking about right at the start of the sequence.
Yeah, I don't know. We're short by a couple minutes, but the actual verbalization of I'm Batman is a perfect midpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And why would a district attorney be taking the L train?
The shittiest L train in the city.
Hilarious.
Nice.
He's so dismissive.
Yeah.
Now, you're telling me that you don't recognize that mouth? That's a very distinct mouth. He's got a little bit of a lisp.
I do, for the most part, like his Batman voice more in this one than the sequels. Because in the sequels, he almost sounds like he's like gargling glass in between scenes.
Smoking a couple cigarettes. At this point, he's just Sergeant Gordon, correct?
Yeah.
And there's our boy, Falcone.
Mm-hmm.
That's also a very clever way to introduce the concept of the bat signal.
Mm-hmm. Because he said to Gordon when he was in the office, holding him at bay with the stapler.
Right. There are the Marina
Look for my
Towers.
sign.
Right there. That's
Yeah.
Dearborn Street right down there.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Chicago. I was just there, I don't know, less than a month ago at Marina Tower, because right next door is the House of Blues, underneath it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was attending a show, and it never occurs to me to, like, look up and across the river to that building.
Okay.
To, like,
Trying to find the spot.
The spot, right.
Yeah.
Now, it might not be the exact, like, that may have done some sort of digital...
It's possible.
But I never remember to look. You know what I mean?
And this one, they do a lot more, like, post-production work to kind of make it... still take Chicago, but kind of add some other elements into it, like they have the Wayne Tower and the train and everything. And like I said, the coastline was a much, much different type of thing.
Yeah, it's like a New York, Chicago conglomerate.
A little hybrid
amalgamation,
stuff going on, like when they get down to Hartcombe and show that stuff. But like Dark Knight, it's just Chicago.
Dark Knight is blatantly Chicago.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. There we go.
I like that Alfred is, like, so in on it. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're like partners in this.
Right.
And I don't know if that had really been explored.
Explored as much of a, like, the genesis.
I guess in the animated series, Alfred was very involved.
Yeah.
But again, that wasn't as mainstream. It was, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
At least not
Mask
as...
of the Phantasm did make fucking $100 million at the box office.
Right.
Yeah, because you've seen this whole thing, like, earlier on, is like, Alfred's, like, kind of saying a lot of the same things Rachel is, don't tarnish the name of Wayne, and he's very concerned about him. It's like he's kind of, like, moping through life and not really dedicated towards anything. Now he sees that he's matured to a certain degree. He's found a direction and a purpose, and he wants to do something, but he's ever so, like, trying to give him the wider, more objective perspective of certain things. Step back from a little bit to see exactly what you're doing. It's not just what you're doing at night. It has to be an all-around thing.
Yeah, that is not an exact replica of the Illinois license plate, but it's
a good replication for, like I said, if they have anything in the background that's just a stand-in car, it blends in.
Another great suit. Jesus.
Oh, yeah, with that tie. Bale definitely gives us the best Bruce Wayne persona. The best billionaire playboy thing. Cause,
I will say, I don't think the others were given a chance.
Right. Keaton's one was like not even... almost written like a recluse in a certain way. A little bit. There wasn't much of a focus on it, and they didn't give him much to work with. It just... almost like just Keaton more or less playing a regular old guy. Kilmer got to a certain point that they had him a little schmoozing here and there, but not a whole lot. And Clooney was just Clooney.
Right.
Which is fine.
I love Clooney.
Yeah.
But they were not given 45 minutes of
character building.
Right, of Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
You know, they were given 12 minutes.
Yeah.
And you just... it adds so much more.
Even this, just showing him kind of playing up to persona to like, this is what people would expect me to act like as Bruce Wayne, while I still have my own persona underneath it as Batman and all the things I want to do. So I'm just kind of like, even playing a duality in that type of way, like none of the other actors really got much of a chance to really accentuate that.
I'd like to recant my previous complaint. I guess I didn't realize that they hadn't reconnected. Okay. So she probably wouldn't recognize his mouth if she hasn't seen him in 15 years or 7 years or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And the Scarecrow guy here is...
Dr. Crane.
Dr. Crane is... I always forget that he was not always just a criminal, you know? Or I guess when I think of him, I just think of like the guy in the asylum or something, you know, like the crazy guy.
Yeah.
But again, what's so great about these, you know, especially the first one, is you can spend so much time building origin stories for everybody.
Yeah.
And, as you know, on the next one, whatever that may be, you can't retell the origin.
Right.
So you have to have a new bad guy with a new like you only get half of the origin time.
Right.
And so to combat that, we usually double up on the villains.
Right.
So that we can pad the time with more origin.
Right.
And then you add a sidekick. And then you add a third villain. Right. And then as the series goes on, it's just more and
diluted
more...
diluted to a degree.
Right. Which is kind of why the Bond movies are a little better in that sense. Great performance there. That really shows his true colors, right?
Yeah.
You know, like I was saying, in the Bond films, it is actually just a new...
merchandise marked on the left.
Oh, there you go.
Spot the landmark.
And I wonder if that was the same perch that he had in the previous, just shot from the other direction. You know, they're anthological, so you just have a new, you know, I guess not villain, but it's a new crime.
Bond's got to go out in the world, kind of follow on the clues and get up to the confrontations. It's mostly are formulating to a degree.
They are.
But they find new ways to jazz it up.
Right. But you're not telling the origin story of James Bond every time.
Yeah.
In a way, it goes to the screenwriting that you can have so many Bond films. Now, granted, a lot of them, especially the early ones, are too long. But, you know, you have falafel. I love a falafel. They have a story that is based on the criminal. Since you don't need the front half of the Bond back story, you know, and that it kind of shows the inadequacy of some of these superhero movies, that they can't tell a good enough story with one character.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Boone Jr. He's really putting it on there, huh?
Yeah.
The voice. It's a little over the top.
Yeah, it's like there's another way you could play it down more and be more kind of like, I don't know, it's not so much seething, but just kind of be a bit more,
a little less Ultimate Warrior, a little more Jake the Snake.
Yeah, definitely. Just zero in on like the psychology of the eyes and everything.
Right.
Just be very much immersive.
He looks like a lawyer.
Yeah.
They were in on it. There's the Chicago River.
Yeah.
With all of this being some kind of like digital composite.
Yeah.
What a fun little. It's so cool. Like when you're on the inside, not on the inside, but you know, it's shot in the city that you love and are so familiar with that you can pick out what's real and what's not.
Sure.
And you know, somebody watching this in Los Angeles probably recognized the idea. Well, maybe not Los Angeles. Somebody watching it in Boise, Idaho, probably recognized that this section, is that kid somebody? He looks very familiar. I don't know. That kid's somebody. Recognized that this, you know, slum part was not a real portion of the city.
Sure.
But they can't tell what's real and what's not.
Right.
Nothing like hiding the drugs in the stuffed animal. That shipping container that they were just looking in, that had that vaporizing machine or whatever.
Okay. Microwave transmitter.
Microwave,
whatever it's called.
You're absolutely correct about the editing on this, in that these quick cuts.
Yeah. Very, very purposely put together.
And this is very well done. The fear-inducing.
Yeah.
Because when Wilkinson got it, you didn't see what Wilkinson saw.
Not as
you just saw
just a tad bit.
You just saw the more reaction.
Yeah.
And in this, you get the idea,
Tony
like
Caesar.
it builds upon it, which is a great thing.
Tony Caesar's Batman. He could have been.
He's a little short.
He's a little on the short side, but come on. He's earned it.
I don't know if by 2005, Tony Caesar was doing stunt work.
Doing it himself. No, he'd probably be coordinating.
I mean, he would have been 20 years removed from Nightmare.
Oh, yeah. You gotta teach the next generation how to do it right.
That's right. Do we know who did the effects on this?
I I don't know.
I was just wondering if it was my old friend Greg Nicotero. Probably not. But...
No, not on this. I don't think so.
And now, where did he get the antidote?
Oh, it's coming up here.
And why does he have it?
Oh, it's coming up here. Give it a moment.
It's been a minute since I've... Oh, dear. Oh. You can see why...
I'm not upstaging Morgan Freeman here.
All right.
Give it a moment.
All right. There's been some... We've been doing these commentaries now for 6 years. Almost. And there has been chatter over the years for, or suggestion, I guess, for us to do a commentary on a first watch.
Okay.
And we've both refuted the idea because when we watch a movie, we're like, we have to pay attention to the movie.
Yeah.
Granted, we could react in real time, but then we're not paying attention to the movie.
Right. We don't have anything to comment on if we don't have foreknowledge of what we're watching.
Exactly. Now, that being said, when it comes time to do these things, you could do research and like watch special features and learn about things. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just go in. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen this in 5 years. Let's do it. Mm-hmm. Okay, I talked over it. What happened?
Morgan Freeman's character, Lucius Fox, Alfred contacted him and he came in and kind of broke down the...
Oh, he created it.
It broke down the toxins, took down samples, and synthesized an antidote.
Okay. He did that very quickly.
That was 2 days. He was out for 2 days.
Does that mean that Freeman can make antidotes for anything?
I don't know. Depends on what they write in the script.
This is why I can't write a movie. I'd be, writing the scene, interior, daylight. Lucius Fox concocts antidote. And then I would stop and think, can he cure AIDS? And then I would go on a rabbit hole of that. And then I would not be able to finish the scene.
A giant shark once came after me. There's a punchline in there somewhere.
Right.
It started roaring at me.
It followed me down from Massachusetts. I love the gimmick of playing the notes on the piano to open the door.
Yeah.
Love that. Very spy movie. Very Clue. Very Secret Passage.
Oh, yeah.
Love it, love it, love it. Why is everything covered up?
Because he shut pretty much all the entire department down.
Okay, got it.
So he's just kind of like doing whatever. That's why Bruce can kind of like pillage the entire R&D department because they kind of shut down all the contracts.
Ouch.
Mm-hmm.
If he's firing him, that's a Chicago bridge if there ever was one.
That's a much better composite.
Yeah, that really looked good because all the background was not in Chicago, but the foreground was.
Yeah.
Now, if Wayne... I was going to say, I guess he got the antidote in a couple days, whereas Wilkinson did not. So, he's just...
All right, because he's completely under
he's still
trained supervision, so it's like...
Oh, so he can keep administering the dose if need be.
Yeah, he can keep doing whatever he wants to. Because the thing is, everyone just thinks he's had a psychotic break. They don't know shit about his fear toxin. Because Falcone was, like, threatening to, like, blow the entire situation open.
Right.
It's like, get me out of here, or else I'm gonna blab.
Yeah, you don't say that to somebody with all the secret weapons. Beautiful eyes on Murphy.
Oh, yeah. I always felt he had slight effeminate features. Not in a bad way. It just makes him very interesting on screen.
I would agree with all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he definitely has a softer look.
Yeah.
There's a place for that in the world, and he has found it.
Yeah.
Secret drug lab? And pour it into the water supply. Yeah, good move, Holmes. Yeah. What's up, Holmes?
He's got such a great, kind of like, just a great temperament for the character. You always feel like he's just at the edge of just tipping over into crazy.
And what I really...
Sinister, sadistic stuff. You can feel that lines running through his character.
What I really like about this mask is that it's very, very simple.
Yeah. Very homemade.
Yeah. Which I love. And it's... I don't know, like, it... in quote-unquote reality, it's just like a potato sack with some stitching on it.
Yeah.
But...
Similar to the Strangers.
Under the influence, it becomes something else.
Yeah.
And that is really kind of the brilliance of it.
Yeah.
In a way, it's similar to how I feel Friday the 13th Part 2 Jason with the bag over his head is far scarier than a hockey mask version. It feels, I don't know, more just human. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I love it. I'm terrified of Sackhead Jason, as he's known now. It's sad that a movie like this wouldn't even be considered for an Oscar for editing. These kinds of movies get visual effects and sound, and that's it. I think.
Usually. Sometimes they break through a little further.
We can...
Sometimes we get music, sometimes...
Yeah.
Depends on who's, like...
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain John Williams' Superman score got nominated.
Oh,
there we go.
Love it.
The ooze.
Yeah, we need more ooze. We,
The secret of the ooze. Great.
That's awesome. Great writing. In discussion about the Oscars and these genre films, remind me,
Sure.
we can have a discussion when we talk about the next movie, The Dark Knight, and how The Dark Knight, this is called a tease,
Yes.
The Dark Knight is
motivated change.
Very much responsible for today's current Oscars.
Yes.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, it's a long discussion.
Wouldn't it suck being, like, one of a few cops in a big city that just isn't corrupt? Because I do feel like, you know, a majority of policemen intend to do good in the world.
Yeah.
There are definitely some shitty ones out there in real life.
That just overshadow everyone else.
Right. You know, abuse of power or whatever.
Yeah.
But it does kind of, you know, there's a parallel here to, like, Chicago politics.
Yeah.
In that it's just so deep-rooted.
Yeah.
And there's so many levels of government that no one person can affect change, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, I mean, in our state, we've had 2 governors get locked up for fucking corruption.
I think it might be 3.
3,
We might have 3 governors in jail. God, I miss Rod Blagojevich's hair. Sorry. Google it.
But with this film, you can feel just like how kind of like refreshing it was at the time. You don't have this onslaught of CGI stuff bombarding you. There's a lot of practical stuff going on in the film.
Not the bats. But
no. But even that's still well done.
it is it feels real. It doesn't feel like fun with computers, which is my big problem with a lot of movies.
Right.
AKA most of the Marvel things that happen today.
I mean, they gave us a $150 million budget, so they had the resources to do things very well.
And this looks amazing.
Oh, yeah. There's only maybe a handful of CGI shots that look a little telltale to themselves.
But if it's only a few, you can forgive it.
Yeah.
If you're so immersed in the story.
Right. There's not a lot of random green screen shots.
Like, this is all... These are CGI.
Yeah.
It does not feel like CGI.
No.
And again, it's only one scene.
Yeah.
It's not the whole movie like the Marvels,
Right.
I feel like.
Right.
Maybe I'm picking on them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, they do shoot on just like extensive green screen sets.
Right. The whole set is green screen,
Yeah.
and then you just...
That's not... Nolan likes a tangible sensibility to his films. He doesn't... He only use... I mean, when you look at Inception, all the CGI in that film is absolutely seamless to me.
100%.
Because he uses everything strategically.
Hey, girl.
Well, that's a bad day.
Oh, yeah. Chicago Bridge.
Yeah.
That may actually have been Dearborn. These are Chicago streets.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the locations in The Dark Knight are much more recognizable.
Yeah.
The stock exchange being like the number one. We'll talk about that on the next one. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's so good. I love Chicago. And to me, when I'm watching this, it feels like just home. You know what I mean? Even though I don't live in the city.
Yeah.
But, you know...
Feels like a tour.
It just feels so comforting because I know these places. And it just looks like the city that I've spent time in. Kind of like I'm reminded back to our commentary that we did with Trent, the three of us, for RoboCop.
Okay.
Where there was a lot of talk in that movie, in our commentary, about how the movie was set in Detroit and they did some exteriors there, but a majority of it was shot in, like, Dallas.
Yeah.
And Trent, who is a frequent visitor of Texas, said, I feel like, now that I know that, it's 100% Dallas. And it felt like Dallas.
Yeah.
And he couldn't picture Detroit anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of that way. Like, once I see Chicago, like, there's no convincing me that this is New York City.
Yeah, Gotham and all that type of stuff.
Whatever.
Yeah. I mean, at the time it was, like, refreshing because there were films doing stuff in Chicago, but they weren't as big as this.
And
I think this really helped kick off a lot of, like, value for productions to come here and start doing stuff.
Well, in the defense of that, it was around this time that the legislation changed as far as
tax credits.
Tax credits,
stuff.
yes. Illinois was not very tax friendly to the film industry.
Yeah.
As you know, as everybody knows, well, maybe not everybody, but, like, for example, Georgia is one of the most tax friendly states, which is why so many productions film in Georgia. Canada, Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal to some extent, but Vancouver and Toronto in particular are, I mean, Lionsgate has their headquarters in Vancouver.
Yeah.
So they named the bridge Lionsgate Bridge in Vancouver. So a lot of productions wanted to film in Chicago for, 50 years prior to this.
And there's a lot of stuff going on in the 80s. I don't know if it was really fueled by that, by having opportunities for tax breaks and whatnot, but there's a lot of stuff in the 80s, some stuff in the early 90s, but it kind of died out, I feel, for quite a while.
Right. And then somewhere somebody said, let's invite the film industry back into our great city and state.
Because it creates revenue for the city. I mean, what you're bringing in, how many hundreds of freaking production personnel that need housing, they need a place to eat, they're going to want to go out to
see the touristy,
stuff like that. Yeah, so I mean, it just brings dollars in. Because they're not just bringing them all in from Los Angeles and whatnot. They're going to hire a lot of local work craftsmen, stuff like that. Sadly, it's like, because around here, like, big casting opportunities I'd shared around to other actors I knew and stuff like that, a lot of stuff was like bit parts. You're never really, we're being catered to local talent getting a lot of substantial roles for bigger productions, unfortunately.
Right.
And some of the actors I knew was like they kind of turned them off the whole thing and they kind of like bowed out of the whole field because, like, why am I going into this audition to be the guy who has one line on Chicago PD and you're not seen again except in the background?
Right.
What am I doing for?
Subway passenger number 2.
Right. What am I doing this for? And it's like you can walk into auditions, the same people all the time. They're still vying for the same stuff, and it's like what a lot of competition for not a lot of value. So that was unfortunate.
That's an interesting line.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting looking at a story about antidotes and mass production of antidotes in, looking at it through the lens of the pandemic that we've lived through and are living through.
Mm-hmm.
and how not simple it is to just make an antidote.
Whip it up, yeah.
Right? Now there'd be a storyline of Gordon saying, "I'm not taking the antidote."
No, let's not get into that.
I do like the rapport that these two have.
Oh, yeah. It's great. Again, Bruce is dedicated to the narrow, focused mission, but Alfred's kind of like, you gotta widen your view of what you're doing.
Bigger picture, right?
Yeah.
That's a great line.
Yeah.
Especially since, under the context that he was the butler to the dad.
Yeah.
You know.
And he's the one who's been keying the stead of the estate and everything else like that. He's like, he was the last person to really maintain a legacy while Bruce was not around anymore. I mean, Alfred, more or less considering that Bruce was kind of like abandoned everything. He could have sold off the manor and all that type of stuff and just let it go to crap. But it's like he still had an obligation.
Another great composite.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, nobody on the PD side knows about this secret weapon thing.
Yeah.
By the way, secret weapon is very, very fantastical, kind of comic book hero fodder, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know how plausible it is that, like, I mean, I guess it is that the government has made some device that is...
Right. Again, it comes down to Wayne Enterprises having military contracts. Then Fox was saying, like, well, isn't this microwave emitter thing, isn't that illegal? And it's like, why do we even design and make this? It's not even a legal thing. And so it got shipped off somewhere, and who knows if Earl was dealing stuff on the black market someplace.
What a great turn.
Mm-hmm. That's a nice that line there is a nice little thing, because in the comics, Ra's al Ghul's a little bit of a... They kind of adjust it a little bit, because in the comics, Ra's al Ghul's been around for hundreds of years.
Okay.
Because he uses these Lazarus pits, which are just like these baths of these chemicals they use to rejuvenate him every couple decades.
Okay.
And he's much more of an eco-terrorist. He's about rejuvenating the planet from man's sort of pollution and everything. So they took away kind of the supernatural element of the character. So they have him comment there on that. Is he immortal? Is he not supernatural?
Right. That's very inside baseball.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it serves a master.
Right.
You know, it's one of those if you know, you know kind of...
Right. And again, it's smoke and mirror stuff. It's like he thought he killed Ra's al Ghul, but no, the real guy is the guy you trusted all along.
Yeah, it does work for the layman as well as the insider.
Yeah. And the decoy thing fits into a bodyguard thing. It's like, how do you take the target off yourself? You put on another guy, tell everyone he's the guy.
Right.
And so no one's aiming at you. Nice fake drunk acting. It always seems to be kind of a wobbly thing for actors to hit. The drunk acting.
The drunk? Yeah.
How much is too much? How much is not enough?
Is he acting, though, or is he...
Oh, yeah, he just put on an act to clear everyone out because he knows
right, okay.
League of Shadows is here to wreck house. It's like, let me just clear the frickin' place
right.
so no one gets hurt.
Did they give explanation, and I missed it, about why they care about Gotham in such a fashion?
Well, they're a lot more about... Basically, they're saying, like, Gotham's become overly corrupt, and it almost needs to be washed away like a biblical flood or something.
It's beyond repair, so we're just going
to... The world needs to be cleansed of this corruption.
Okay.
So it kind of follows on a little bit of the same wavelength of what they do in the comics with the character, but it's kind of like adapting more towards societal justice in a certain way.
Well, here's my explanation right here. If I'd have just waited 30 seconds. Good makeup on there.
Yeah.
He is so good, Oldman.
Oh, yeah.
I mean... I know he finally won as well, but it wasn't for anything that he should have won for. It was more of a... I don't even remember which one it was, but it ended up being like a... let's finally give it to Oldman, even though he deserved it 20 years ago.
Darkest Hour.
Oh, yeah. He played Churchill.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he was so good.
Okay.
Oh, he was so good.
A little rescinding on your comment, then.
Yeah, but I'm saying... Yeah, I don't know if it was the...
He's got about 8 other roles he easily could have gone...
Right. It was like, it's...
to the podium for.
He was great, but it was... It just felt like his turn.
Right.
You know? Eventually, the politics of the Oscars rear their head in the campaign process.
Right.
Sometimes it gets you, going the other way, like Ron Howard in Apollo 13.
Sure.
Again, Raj Al Ghul preaching, just murder the people.
Yeah. He's like, the cancers run rampant through the city, and, we just have to... From his perspective, it's incurable, so you just killed the whole body.
Right. Wipe it out. God, look at that Chicago in the background. So cool. How they, take the weird Gotham neighborhood and stick it right on top of the river.
I just love so much how Neeson just performs the character. He has that that elegance about the character, way of carrying himself in the whole thing, where he feels completely his justification, his thought process of everything that's going on. It feels completely just. It's like there's no two ways about it. Everything's gone to a certain point. It's like I have to follow the entire pathology, all that type of stuff with this group.
Well, he's the leader.
Mm-hmm.
He's living his character.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm nitpicky, but there's always a lack of smoke in these scenes.
Sure.
That, I mean, I guess these are controlled fires.
Right.
You know, fire machines or whatever that are just...
Mm-hmm.
It's not actual stuff burning. It's probably propane or whatever, but...
Sure.
The amount of soot and smoke that would be in the room is immeasurable.
Suffocating.
Yeah. You'd be able to see about 2 feet off the floor, and that's it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make for good TV, so never mind.
Speaking of Ron Howard, Backdraft.
God, I love Backdraft. Oh my God. Yeah, you've got enough money to rebuild the thing.
Yeah. I always like this moment.
Aw.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Wow, what a moment. How is Boone Jr. still alive?
Mm.
Hey, lady. They just took her at her word.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Lower Whacker. They left the street sign there.
No.
Yeah, the visual.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really good. The way that, the foreground is fake. Our trains do not look like this.
No, not that bad.
Interesting that they took the concept and made it like a tri-level gimmick. That's kind of cool. I swear this kid is somebody.
Mm.
That's a real thing. Right there on the left is about where the Trump Tower is now.
Mm. Apparently this is the first time Neeson ever played a villain. I think it's the only time he has.
Well, he certainly perfected the kind of vigilante role in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Because it's all he does. Taken really was a great movie, the first one.
Oh, yeah. I didn't bother seeing any of the sequels.
I don't believe I did either.
I just heard they were directed, shot, edited like fucking garbage.
And also the concept doesn't really jive with me, but it's fine. This is supposed to be the water vapor.
Yeah. Vaporizing the fear toxin.
Yeah. It's not the strongest story, in my opinion.
Yeah, the villain plot is a little on the... I get it, and everything works right in with the themes of the whole film, which is good, but yeah, it's missing a personal element to it.
Yeah, it's weird, because, like, the idea of, you know, the stolen weapon and vaporizing the river, it's so fantastical, but yet we're presenting this in the most real way, you know what I mean?
There's still tethering. The film does try to find a balance between a comic booky sensibility and also the reality-based Nolan style.
That's what I was getting at, is that the crime doesn't necessarily fit the film.
Right.
And the style of the film.
Right.
You know, in a movie like Batman and Robin, you have a over-the-top... It's so comic booky.
Yeah.
And the Mr. Freeze is so ridiculous that it all just... Even though it's stupid, it works.
Yeah, it's cohesively stupid.
Right. This, there's... And maybe that's why I don't love this one as much as The Dark Knight.
Dark Knight gets more personal and gets more character-driven.
Yeah.
This one kind of loses the character-driven aspects for knowing it needs a big action climax, and they just kind of lose the character aspects along the way for it.
That's a cool visual.
Oh, yeah.
Is the horse not subjected to the fear toxin? What is the horse afraid of? Quicksand, that's the answer. Quicksand is what all horses should be afraid of. Ruined my childhood. The DA has a gun?
He grabbed it off the...
Oh, yeah, right.
yeah.
His naivete is brilliant.
Right. I still don't know how much I like just like, have Gordon just drive the Batmobile.
It's weird.
For the action climax is a little...
What I think is interesting is that they used the natural geography of Chicago with the river and the bridges to create an island in Gotham.
For chaos to go down in.
Right. I think that's a really cool device that, you know, using the city's natural elements. I don't know. I think it's neat.
Yeah. But yeah, balancing again the tones between the comic booky and the more grounded stuff. Just a few points in the film where there's little slight cheesy pieces of dialogue that I feel like that could have been honed in a little more seriously.
Yeah.
When like they're doing the chase scene with the cops, they got some goofy dialogue to a certain degree.
Yeah, it's a little ha-ha.
Yeah. At least Alfred didn't give him the keys. Batman gave him the keys.
It would actually make more sense though for Alfred.
Yeah, I'm just saying. In our last Batman franchise, Alfred couldn't keep a secret.
Well, that's true.
He just let everyone walk right through the whole fucking Batcave, take off with the Batmobile.
Right.
Like, no. Just
right.
Sleeping on the job.
he's got that Diet
Can't
Pepsi,
keep a secret.
Diet Pepsi money rolling in that, he couldn't.
Right. Diet Coke.
Oh, it's Diet Coke, you're right.
Yeah.
When you got Diet Coke money and Wayne money,
Oh,
just fuck everybody, right?
Sure. The train graffiti is getting a little on my nerves.
It is a little much. I think that was a kind of a stereotype of the New York subway.
Yeah.
For so long. I've ridden the New York subway. It's really no more crappy than the trains in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
There's really no graffiti on the inside. They're really, some of them are worn down.
Sure.
But, they could use a remodel, but they're not just a hellhole. Maybe they were in the 80s,
Maybe.
Back when Times Square showed porn and was just, homeless and drugs and...
Sure.
And now it's like the mecca of... tourism.
Commerce, yeah.
That's Lower Wacker Drive, for those wondering. Which also used to be filled with homeless and all, it was really shitty. And then they remodeled and redid the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the late 90s.
Mm.
Police sergeant just running over bitches with a car. Hilarious. Just stabbing at the controls. Oh, good. Yeah, that's not a real building in Chicago. But it really does fit in seamlessly,
Yeah, minor thing with this sequence, the guy at the hub and whatnot, way too much exposition. And he keeps telling us the same thing like 3 frickin' times in the entire sequence, like we can't get it. Oh, the thing reaches the main hub, it's going to blow. Oh, we have to evacuate because it's going to blow up. If they get in closer, it's like... I mean, Nolan hadn't done action at this point, really.
Right.
So he's kind of relying on...
Well, I applaud...
Maybe relying too much on other elements of storytelling to kind of carry it along.
I do applaud his use of intercutting...
Yeah.
Even at just a beat of pause.
Yeah.
A breath breath of, air. Because you can go on the train...
But I think there's a way you could do it without doing dialogue. You could cut to a screen that the guy's looking at and seeing like a meter rising.
Right.
Up to a critical
or
level.
The progression of the train along the path.
Right.
Right.
As I see with film, sometimes it's better to show something instead of having to constantly tell the audience something. It gets a little...
Right.
It's less engaging to just constantly tell us what's going on instead of showing us.
And this is CGI, and it looks great.
Some of the CGI, some they did some practical stuff, I think.
It might be a combo pack,
Yeah.
sure. This is one of the first times ever, I think, that the Batman character has not gone with the justice route like the police turn in the bad guy.
A lot of people had a tad bit of an issue with this because it was always not so much in the films, but like in comic books, it was a lot more towards the end of like Batman doesn't go off and kill people. He he'll even go out of his way to save his own enemies because he believes in something.
Right. And here...
he just lets him die.
He lets him die. It is not on brand.
Yeah.
As the kids say.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah.
You're right. We've cut now to this guy who said the same line 3 times, and then we cut to him 3 times with no dialogue for like 3 frames.
Mm-hmm.
I get having a reaction shot.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
But
Nolan's got a few rough edges in this film.
Well, he was learning.
He starts to smooth them out as he goes on.
I got another job. That's amazing. Drunken billionaire, oh my god, that's so good. So good. Good bow tie on Fox there. Freeman seems like a bow tie kind of guy.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe he's not, but it feels right.
It fits him, yeah.
It feels right. Was there a scene where he revealed himself to her as Batman?
Yeah, there was a whole thing of after he swoops down and grabs her from the mob down there, he says the line, "It's not who I am. It's not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me." And that's something she said when she met him after the pool party at the hotel.
And when I heard you were actually a billionaire, do it. Get it.
Mm-hmm.
I never noticed that mole in his eyelid, or his above his nose there. I mean, I know he's got some blemishes here and there, but that one seemed really pronounced. I guess that right there just revealed it too, if she wasn't sure before. Ouch. That hurts. She knows how to cut deep, huh? Now that looks like England.
And that's English countryside for sure.
That's not Chicago. Or suburban Chicago.
It's like fucking... It's nowhere near here.
No. No. The cliffs of Dover.
Hearing Eric Johnson now. Wonderful.
It is a
wonderful song.
Great instrumental tune.
Yeah, 4K really brings it out there.
Doesn't it?
You gotta get that shaved off, man.
Get Mr. Freeze.
You'll be called Batman. Cool party. Okay.
Improving the foundations is a good line.
Mm-hmm.
Great cop mustache on Oldman there.
Straight up.
Straight caterpillar. Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
All those inmates of Arkham are out, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Cop killers.
Mm-hmm. That was a Lethal Weapon sequel idea. I think it was the third one.
Yeah, it was the third one, yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
I tell you what, if everybody in the audience didn't get hard right at that moment, it's never happened in a movie before.
I like this bit too.
At this point in the story, does Gordon know that it's Bruce Wayne?
No, he doesn't know. He doesn't know anything until the third film.
Okay. That calling card of the Joker at the end did everything to hook people who might have thought that the movie was mediocre, because it got them excited about what's next.
Right.
Like, I remember my visceral reaction to that was, this movie was good. It was a little long. It was not as exciting as it could have been. And then, oh shit, the Joker's coming. Like, yeah, can I buy my ticket right now? This, the feeling that you get.
Yeah.
And, of course, The Dark Knight did not disappoint me. I know it did you a little bit.
Well,
we'll get there.
I'm reassessing things.
All right. James Newton Howard. Here's our visual folks. I don't know who either of those are.
No, I'm not familiar.
So, yeah, it's a great origin story. I do feel like the villain is a little not as well, the caper not as well thought out.
I don't know I couldn't come up with anything to rewrite it on the spot or anything, but
right. I mean,
it felt a little leaning little much into the popcorn action thing at the end.
Yeah.
Feels the need to have a big action climax with a lot of effects work and blowing up stuff. It felt like the film worked so well with kind of an intimate character, emotional thread to it, and it got a little not so much like overblown. There's a lot of other films I'd say definitely getting overblown with action, but it just kind of lost a little bit of the timber of the story.
I feel like if it was a little more over the top, it might have felt more like a comic book movie.
Yeah.
Which, again, there's the weird juxtaposition between, are we going for serious, dark,
right.
noir?
It's both leaning into it, but also pulling back. It's kind of a tug of war. How far do I want to go into it, but I don't want to go quite that far. So it's like there's still...
Turbo Kong is a great name for a character named Enormous Prisoner, by the way.
So it's like they're still dipping into it, but kind of pulling back down. So it's like, you can tell Nolan's not as confident with the material as he would be.
Yeah. Tom Nolan playing the valet. I wonder if that's a relation.
Don't know.
Could be.
Don't know. Poppy Tierney.
Bad name.
Fabio Cardassia.
Bad name.
Cy Hollins.
Neither agree nor disagree. A lot of
take a swing past. I didn't see that one in the
I didn't
stunts.
either. How do you pronounce that name? I guess the T or the K is silent, one of the two.
Gosh. How'd you feel about the Zimmer Newton Howard rebranding of Batman with the score on this?
It's
hard to compete with the Elfman stuff, but that was so much more kind of operatic, a little bit gothic in a certain way. They're obviously trying to...
It felt definitely more Hollywood action movie in this case.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fine. I guess it's a compliment to the composers in that if I notice, I tend not to notice the music as much.
Okay.
As you do anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And others. But I understand its importance, and I understand that without it or in the wrong musical cues could change the movie completely.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like by the time I notice a score, it's one of the upper elite ones.
Okay.
Or notoriously bad ones.
Sure, yeah.
And if I'm not paying attention to it, I feel like it's doing a great job.
Okay.
It's doing its job in helping tell the story, if that makes sense.
Okay.
There aren't scenes in this that are cued by music in a means to get the music over.
Right.
Like, for example, we covered Jurassic Park earlier.
Mm-hmm.
That movie has moments where it's a sweeping epic.
Yeah.
And there's wide shots of landscapes and fantastical things happening.
To open up the score a little bit.
And you get this beautiful na 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 na, and you're like, it's a melodic, like, hey, look at me moment for the music.
Mm-hmm.
And there are no hey, look at me moments for the music in a movie like this.
No.
And so it's hard for me to say, yeah, it's great. I mean...
And it's also a film that's not really kind of like focusing on like a particular atmosphere to kind of like really soak you into it with the music that come up and kind of like take that step forward like the Elfman stuff and did in the Burton films to kind of like bigger sweeping, maybe not so much sweeping, but just put on a larger stage to a certain degree. This film playing things down more.
There's also not a
Hilbert,
sure. There are movies that exist where characters in the movie have a theme, and in certain scenes, key scenes, or whatever, there's a recurring melody that indicates their presence.
Right.
And some movies of this ilk utilize that.
More stunt performers.
This is round 2.
Different unit.
Oh, you know what? This is the Chicago. That was Chicago unit, I think. This is Iceland. Weird. What was in Iceland? I guess the mountains.
Right. Mountains where they're on the ice doing the.
Oh, right. Sure.
Jousting.
They didn't even use like the Bruce Wayne theme or whatever.
They just have a general Batman theme.
Right.
A little bit more of a percussive, focused piece.
Right. Anytime there's this action, whatever. Yeah. So in a way, they made it. Generic seems so like condescending, and I don't mean that to be.
Right.
But it wasn't as fine-tuned to situations or characters.
Right.
That makes you...
I do feel like the score, when you compare it to like the ones that were in the Schumacher ones from Elliot Goldenthal, I think this captures a little bit more Batman to a certain degree. I think it feels a little bit more identifiable that it could attach itself to Batman.
Right.
Because they have a certain... There's just a certain thing they use in the music where it sounds almost like flapping wings to a certain degree. And
okay. Yeah.
And just slight motifs. I just feel like it fits Batman more specifically.
Jim Henson contributing a little bit to this.
Oh.
I love that Happy Birthday to You gets a little screen credit. The mayor and the people of Chicago.
Yeah, there's this estate they kind of thought they continued to have the rights to Happy Birthday to You, and then a couple years ago they got the entire court case overturned. We're like, no, it's just public domain now.
Yeah.
They used to extort like massive amounts of money for people, and they wanted to use that.
Yeah.
Like massive. Ridiculous. And they would sue the shit out of you.
Right.
If you didn't pay them.
Weird.
Crazy shit.
All right. Well, we did it.
Well, thanks for joining us for the first installment, and we'll let you know when the next one's coming around.
Yeah, it's going to be good times. The next one's going to be very interesting.
Yes.
All right. See ya.
Bye-bye.